Hello, hello, you wonderful family out there. We're so pumped. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. I'm with the rock star, the one and only Gwen. Today, we're going to go over a bunch of questions, Q&As or questions and answers on everything that we get throughout this kind of process that we've built up. And man, we see a lot of the same questions. We see, a lot of the same things come through. So we want to go out and just share things with you guys on hopefully this will help you in your future, as well as just information. And feel free to leave your comments and any questions that you do have, and maybe we can do this again and add to that or answer them as we go. But saying that, Gwen,
Yeah, I
morning.
think actually let's jump like straight into one of the most like what everybody's wondering is what's happening with the backflip.
Well, that's going to be a short-lived question. Both Gwen and I have been making the backflip, but we can't ride around. We can't ride out of it, or at least I can't ride out of it at the moment. It's definitely, honestly, in my whole career, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done, mainly because it's more, you just don't want to rip everything. You try not to hurt yourself. And it's more just the right timing to get it. I think the guys doing it on flat water, it's pretty spectacular. We're not at that level yet. It's nice to have a little kicker for myself.
And then is there like a kiteboarding trick that going back you would be like, that was like kind of like as challenging or like as scary or
That's a good question. I would say, yeah, I mean, it's tricky. I would say the trick I would relate it to, which, not many people did this trick, but at one point in kite surfing, this was a thing. But we would do a lot of down loops into handle passes. That was like a new trend, right? So you'd be riding along powered, you put the kite up kind of neutralish and you down loop it and it would whip you around the corner, kind of like these S loops they're doing. But we would do it with like a front mob or a back mob or a KGB or something. And it was just like guaranteed that you were going to pile drive into the water or land going 100 miles an hour. So it was one of those tricks where like you knew the outcome was always going to be a little harsher than landing softly. But when you did pull them off, it was pretty awesome. But to me, I would say I would relate it to kind of that because I think once you learn the backflip, I'm sure on the wing, it becomes like just very simple rotation, but there's also that commitment level that you really have to put yourself into. So
yeah, I feel like the backflip on the wing, like the scary thing is you send the foil like straight up. To me that is what's like preventing like the full commitment is just that fear that like you send the foil straight up and now that thing is above your head
yeah,
and you fall
yeah,
and maybe you lose the burn, maybe that thing is coming down, you are
yeah,
under.
yeah,
uh that is the scary part. And because in the end I don't think it's like that of a technical move,
yeah.
but that fear and that risk
That's the
um
scary part.
makes it like pretty scary. I mean, it's kind of like it's almost like like a kite loop. When you learn a kite loop, like it's maybe not like that of a technical, but it's more of like, okay, I need to commit.
Yep.
And yeah, well, like wing foiling, I feel like a lot of the tricks, well, you come down with gravity,
Yep.
but with kiting, if you do something wrong, you come down with gravity and your kite like sending you like,
Yeah.
like insanely fast.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, like I feel like maybe like wing foiling, most of the tricks are like definitely not as scary.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, here's what I would say just with that, just jumping a wing, once you have to learn kinda how to jump them because, with a kite, you kinda have this big thing hanging over you that you can kinda hang under and land somewhat softly. And that leads us actually into another question, and I'll say this, and then I'll finish my statement, but, a lot of questions come up is when I'm kite jumping or jumping with a kite, how come I can't land soft? And the best advice I could give somebody is it doesn't matter really how high you jump, but every jump is going to be somewhat different, right? So that's the hardest part, is the timing of your kite to catch you to land softly. So what I would say to anybody out there that's, struggling with that landing softly is, when you jump your kite, say I'm going to my left and I bring my kite up past neutral, the longer I'm patient there, your kite's going to fly behind you because you're hanging on this weight. And if I just wait and I wait and I'm about to hit the water and I bring that kite back, it's going to traverse kind of above my head and create that lift and kind of lift you and put you on the water. And I think that timing is the hardest part for people, because now I'm saying that if it's blowing 30, 40 and you're jumping massive, you may have to do some kite loops for sure. That's totally more advanced. But I would say in general, for a general person jumping, I would say it's a timing of just delaying your kite a little bit longer, because most people will just keep it at neutral and then they go to land and they bring it across. Well, it just pulls them into the crash and they're already dropping. So there's no catch. And the only reason I say that, one, to answer that question, and two, to lead into, with the wing, I feel like winging when I jump, I mean, I have that feeling like a kite where I just want to hit the lip and go 100 feet in the sky and just send it. But I also have this smaller canopy that is not super lofty for me to come down softly, sort of. So it's a little bit of like it's actually just jumping massive on a wing kind of scares me a little bit, because if the wind kind of shuts off, like there's nothing really to hang on to coming down, and you have the foil and the board, and like you're not landing on this tiny twin tip, you have this huge buoyant board or more buoyant board. So to me, that kind of scares me a little bit
Yeah,
there.
it's weird. Like, I mean, I really like when I jump with the wing. Like, I've never like feared to jump too high, or like I'm still, I don't know, I'm at the point where like I try to jump as high as I can. I try to get as much speed,
Yeah.
and the landing is never like really hard for some reason. Now maybe like if you have a bigger board, um that's definitely like gonna make the landing harder, because now like you just like there's more surface area
Yeah.
that's hitting the water. There's more like volume that's like stopping you from sinking a bit,
Yeah.
and having maybe a bit of a more like soft landing. But do you remember, it's been a long time for you, I'm sure, but like when you went back to when you like go back to like when you first started jumping with the kite, like did like before you landed some like soft jumps, like a soft landing, did you like what mistakes were you doing? And back then it was like even maybe like different kites.
Well, back when we started, the kites like wouldn't even stay in the sky, so you were always crashing for sure. But I would say no. It's a great question. Look, when I first started kiting, you never landed softly. You'd jump and you'd butt check, or that, because you just didn't have the timing of the kite. You didn't quite understand it, and you're learning that process. But I mean, I just look back at. I mean, I remember riding with my dad, actually, who was on the beach, and I remember just taking my hand off the bar and like, I'm like, dude, that was insane, Dad. I took my hand off the bar. Like, it's a trick, like it's a one-hander, and that was just riding on the water, like taking two hands and go to one. I mean, it was that scary back then, or at least for me. And I'm sure there's others out there that can attest to that, or know that feeling, that like just to take a hand off or whatever was pretty wild. But it's the same. Look, winging, it's the same. When you first start jumping, you're learning everything. It's the same feeling. It's the same kind of challenges that you go through. And I would say, saying all this leads us into kind of a really perfect question that comes across a lot. And that is, my wife wants to learn, or my daughter wants to learn, or my son, or whatever it is. And is there any, like, the best thing you'd recommend for them when they first start? And I would say there's two answers to that, and then Gwen can fire in on it as well. But I would say one that we answer a ton is, look, throw on some booties, wear a full suit, even if you're in Florida. The only reason I say that is you won't chafe up your knees, you won't chafe up the top of your feet because you're kneeling a lot on the board and you're falling off the board with the wing, and you're kind of doing this like rubbing on the boards and the mats, and you kind of chafe up your knees and the top of your feet. And for sure, if my wife was here right now, she'd be like 100%, everybody out there, please wear booties because she literally chafed her feet to where she couldn't wear shoes. So those are just some little tips there. And then the other one would be um, use a big board. And it's okay. It can be a SUP that's super big and you could stick a foil to it. It doesn't really matter. There's nothing wrong. We had a gentleman here, local, Kelton Kenny, who's a rock star. He was out there first time winging, said he'd never do it. Now he's all fired up on it to give it a shot. And he was out there with a huge board and a foil underneath, not necessarily trying to foil, just wanted to learn how to tack back and forth and try to work his way upwind and driving on his back foot. And he was having an awesome day out there, and he was learning how to go upwind. So to answer all those questions that we do get a lot of, I would say there's nothing wrong with putting yourself on a big board, and learning the concept of the wing to go upwind. And then the other one is just, look, anybody learning, there's nothing wrong with putting on a helmet, a full suit, anything to cover the tops of your feet. If I look back on when I started, man, I was all cut up on my knees and feet. And I 100% know Gwen was, because I saw video of it when he first went out.
Yeah, I mean, well, number one advice: go back and watch our videos. We have a few videos on how to start wing foiling. But then for me, I've been trying to teach my wife as well, and one of the things that like helped her the most, aside from a big burn, of course, would be a very slow foil. And so a foil that has so much drag, because especially when once you get to the point where you're going to get up on foil, if you have never been on foil before and you have a foil that's maybe a good foil but maybe not that good for a beginner, which would be a foil that has like nice glide and everything, you get up on foil and then the speed difference is pretty significant. You freak out, you are not used to it, and then you
Yeah.
fall. So for her, like, I stopped putting her on like the foils that I would consider for me like nice, and I put her on like a foil that I think kind of sucks. But for her, it was perfect because it had so much drag,
Mm-hmm.
and so it just forced her to like stay powered. Like she had to keep the power, and then if she would release, she would lose speed and she would go down.
Yeah.
And then like there was not like a huge difference in speed between being the bird on the water to like being up on foil. But maybe we should touch on like a question that just came in. Do you want to pick one, or we have
Yeah.
a question?
First off, we'll just say, Arthur, backflips are for sure scary. 100% agree. I'm sure Gwen will feel the
Well,
same way.
actually, like about that, like to me, I'm still at the point where like, okay, we have been trying like the backflips, but I'm like, I want to be, I want to be, I don't want to be crazy, and I want to be like calculated, like. So I'm like, the risk is, like if we get hurt, then we'll be like, oh, why did we do that? Like we have so much fun on sessions where we don't need to do backflips. So it's like I'm trying to like really check in every time I do a backflip. I check in with myself and be like, are you doing a backflip for the right reason? Because because you feel it, or like, are you doing it for like something else that's not
I'm
good
just
for
telling everybody out there that's listening in here, that's for sure false. For sure false. Gwen like got up in 0 miles an hour, nobody could wing, and he gets up, and the first thing he did was go straight to the lip and just throw a backflip and land on his wing. So I'm just telling you that I don't know if he checked himself at that moment, but that's all part of it. But to get back to you, Arthur, yes, I believe this is your question, and hopefully I can answer this right. My question is, for surfing or free riding, I'm guessing on a foil, what is the best small board, maximum volume, or longer board with less? I would say on average right now, if you're talking about surf prone foiling, I would say anywhere from 35 volume or 30-ish, even down to, people are at, 25, I'm sure, that are very skilled. But I would say the more volume you can pack into a smaller board is only going to help, you're going to catch a wave easier, one, because you're just more buoyant. Right now that everybody's building boards where you can pack a bunch of volume into a small board. So I'd say anywhere from truthfully, I've used a 27-liter lift board all the way up to a 44-liter, and now my go-to is actually a lot larger volume, because why not? I can catch more waves, and I'm not that good at getting up, so I might as well have the volume to get up, and just that same foil underneath, because as long as a board is short, or call it 4 feet, or that seems to be 3/8 to 4/6, I would say is kind of the average in size of a board for prone foiling. To me, that's money. Some very experienced guys recently went from, I think John was on 33 or something, and he's now trying to push up to more towards 40, and he's super skilled, but it's just you can catch more waves. And then I'll just jump right into another question. Andy Rogers, thank you so much for tuning in. I have a Switchblade from 2014 through 18. The pulley on the bridles get choked with sand and stop rotating. Should I upgrade to low friction ring? 100%. You can throw a ring on there. It'll act just like a pulley. It'll rock. You'll have no issues there. I totally would recommend it. It's no question. Do you want to go into Chad's question?
Does the same amount of liters in a board support you in kilos? Like if I were 70 kilos and I got a 70-liter board, would that be enough to knee start? Let's see.
So,
I mean, like, yeah, rules about like
yeah. So
kilos and liters.
here's what I'd say, just to chime in quick, and then I'll let Gwen chime into that, Chad. The easiest way I could say, for if we're talking wing foiling, there's no question. You're talking wing foiling. Hold on, sorry. There's so many messages coming in, I can't even read it. Just a knee start. Here's what I'd say: the more volume you have in a knee start, I would say on average, I would say 60 liters to call it, even up to 80 liters if you're a bigger guy, is a good like basic wing knee starter board. Now, as you get better, I'm actually kneeing or standing up on, but I actually knee it a 44-liter board, and I weigh 155 pounds. So to match those, I would say it's more skill, and leader is kind of it's really hard. There's no like perfect solution to that, in my opinion. I would always tell everybody, and we say this on the beach a lot, I would always, unless if you live in a really, really windy place, I would always steer to more leader in your wing foil progression, whatever, because you just have more time up riding the wing, versus if you're struggling to get up, which everybody in Jupiter knows that I've gone down the beach to do all sorts of fun stuff, and I can't even get up on my small leader board when it's blasting, because I chose everything too small. Yet if I just chose a little more leader, I'd always be riding, and I just want to hammer that one home.
Yeah, I think for like if you are like 70 kilos, when it gets to about 60 liters, that's when it becomes very like tricky. Like I would say the 50 to 60 liters is the in between, where like on your knees it's like very unstable. Sinking it is kind of like too big to sink it. So if you don't want to do like the sinker board technique, where you put your feet on the board and you sink the board, I would say go more than 60 liters, and then if you want to sink it, then you can go lower than that. And then in terms of just going back quickly about like the prone foiling, I mean, there are like wing boards out there that are like, I don't know, let's say like 5, 70 liters. I've seen some of that. But the problem is like they are so wide, to like paddle, it would be so hard to like prone foil. So basically for prone foiling, like Damien said, something around 40 liters is good. And in terms of size, like just something that allows you to paddle pretty like without like being like too wide. So that would be my advice. What's the best what's best to size down first for performance surfing? Foil, wing, or board? Well, I mean, I almost would say the foil, if you think about it, when you are up on the burn, that's kind of like what is has the most like impact.
Yep.
So because let's say you ride a 2000 square centimeter foil, that's what you learn on, which is perfect. Now you want to get a bit more like higher performance. I don't think it would make sense to like take a tiny burn, a 50-liter burn, and then keep your 2000 square centimeter foil. You would see more of a difference if you keep that same burn, but then you go down and you get something a bit like higher performance, even just like a 1200 higher spec foils. I think you would like really, it would make a significant difference toward like more fun, more high performance,
Yeah.
faster.
I would agree. I would say foil will make your biggest impact there, just because when you're up, that's what's making everything happen. Your board is more swing weight and just volume to get up. And just going quick back to Chad's question to answer this better, 70 kilos is about 155. It's about what I weigh right now. 70 liters, would it be enough to knee start and not a sinker? Yes, you cannot
Yeah, yeah.
sink that
No, you can.
70
Yeah,
liter 100%. I would say the only way you're going to be looking at it, you're going to be struggling to sink like 40-liter. Not struggling, you can sink it, but it does want to pop up on you. So there is that fine line. A lot of people want to have the sinker, and maybe, it's a really hard thing. But I would say the 70-liter would be a great knee starting board and a good light wind board for you. um Arthur, what's the best size down for? We answered that. Foil 100%, Arthur. I think the foil, Harry is a perfect example, who just went from a larger foil, I believe a Moses larger size, and he just went trimmed down to a 1000 high aspect Cabrina H series, and he's fired up on it, and he doesn't know if he'll ever change it. And I say this now, but he'll probably end up going to the 800 high aspect in time.
yeah. And again, he had that about. He has been on like a 90-liter board like for ever almost, like and the way he like made his gear a bit higher performance, a bit more fun, is by sizing down the foil. And I've been on a 800 H series, the high aspect foil from Cabrina, on a 90-liter board, and it's fun. It's like it's not like the 90-liter board is not gonna make that setup um like limiting so much. You can still go ride waves, you can
Mhm.
still carve, and you can like go fast, and you can do like everything. But that would be like, yeah, the first thing I would do is size down the foil, not necessarily the burn, unless you have like maybe a 165-liter burn, then maybe, yeah. But
Lemon Yellow, thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you. Paul Menta, my brother, we love you. Yes, the board is supposed to stay on when we do a backflip. I love you. That's awesome. Truthfully, it's questionable for both Gwen and I. Martin, any good hints? This is a great question. Any good hints for stabilize the board height when you're up on foil? Because when you're kind of doing the breaching, when you go into jibes or tacks, here's what I would say on that. My 10 cents, Martin, that could help you, especially when you're jiving. There's two things you could do. One, with gear, you could go with a bigger back wing. That's more stable, 100%. It'll keep that pitch sensitivity down. So you go bigger back wing. It'll be more drag, but it'll slow the twitch down. But I would also say, when people are doing a jibe, what happens is you're used to a nice steady speed. You're cruising across water, and then you go into the jibe and you go downwind. And most of the time when you pull in, you may accelerate and decelerate. What I mean by that is, you pull in with the wing, you go downwind to do your jibe, and you hit this speed that you're not quite used to on your normal tack. Then you lose power in your wing. So you go through this stage of, I have too much power, I have too little, so it's really hard to control the height. In my opinion, would be just go into your jibe and try to be try to just be more gentle on your backhand, so that I can slowly have pressure throughout that turn, but not like too much, nothing. I think that's a really struggle when people go into jives, is they kind of it's all or nothing. And I think if you just slow that down, but honestly, I would just say jibes are hard, making turns are hard. But I would say a bigger back wing will help with stable, and I just think it just takes time to go through it. If you feel like you're always coming up, I would say before you go into your jibe, maybe adjust your feet a hair more forward, because that's going to help you right before you go into the jibe, having that board come up on you. If you feel like you're always going down, then I would kind of move your body just a hair back before you go into it, and hopefully it can counterbalance your little issue there. Hopefully that can help you.
Yeah, I would say like, I mean, number one is time. It's gonna come with time, and you're gonna get used to it. You're gonna get used to like knowing where the board is on the water and how much room you have. So that will come. But then I would say also like riding a foil is so like tiny movements. So sometimes what I see like beginners do, which is a mistake, is like thinking like, more front foot pressure, more back foot pressure, and it makes like huge movements. And and the reality is like if you are just like cruising, just a slight movement in your hip, your hip, like don't think about foot pressure because that would be maybe a bit too extreme. Think about your hip and move it, like 1 inch forward, 1 inch back. And you're going to see that even just that, just your hip has the ability of, like it's going to make you able to like move your height on the water. That's all you need. So focus on that more than like front foot and back foot pressure, because
Yeah.
it will just make more like tiny movements. And so that's the key. Once you go too extreme, then you are always like correcting. You are like, oh, that was too much, that was too much, and then your foil is like all over the place. So
Yeah, I would
it's
Going
yeah,
to spot on. Foiling is little movements.
yeah,
Keep those
stay,
movements
you have to
limited.
like breathe, stay calm and move your hip and not be whoa, front foot pressure, back foot pressure. No, it's not like that.
um, how many wings have we ripped? Gwen has ripped one wing about 400
I,
times. I personally have been very lucky, and I kind of know when it goes wrong.
this is my best friend
Still.
right now. Like tape. I actually buy it in like several rolls. 15 feet. It actually how much? It's 20 feet, I think. Oh no, 15 feet.
And
Um
Garrett, we thank you, and I'm sure Gwen is very appreciative. But Gwen, you gave him great advice on switching the feet to toe side, because he's regular before starboard, post jibe, and that helped him a ton. So Garrett, right on. So stoked for you. Jeremy Chan, how do you train for backflip airs? Is the best way to start trampoline park? Sure, 100%. Really, a backflip is a backflip. It's the same on the water as it is on the land. I would say grab a wing, jump on a trampoline, and start doing it, because that wing is weird when it's in your hands. I would say great way to train for it.
yeah, I mean, something really interesting. I've been actually watching the Life of Kai season 2, which is awesome video series about Kai Lenny. And so in that like season 2, it's really about like getting air on big waves. And so they show how he's training with his brother Ridge, and they do the trampoline. Basically they go to like the wave pool and they practice their air. Now, yeah, they are like super committed, they have that available. I mean, yeah, Damien, maybe we need to book a trip to the trampoline park and to the wave pool. We're gonna need a bit more Patreon supporters to be able to book the wave pool, but um, yeah,
yeah.
like anything will help for sure. Like it's like the more you get used to rotation in the air, for sure, the more it's gonna help. But again, if you don't have a trampoline park and you can't practice like that, then you can do like we do and rip some wings and try it.
Yeah, and Jeremy, one of the biggest thing that helped us, I would say 100% the trampoline spot on, but I also would say if you have a friend with a jet ski, or you can get towed into a kicker or a little wave, it helps you learn the rotation with a foil. Then when you go with the wing, you kind of already have that rotation. That was very helpful for us,
Oh,
100%.
For sure. I mean, I never even considered doing backflips on the foil. Never until I actually did it because I was with Evan and Damien, and they were doing backflips on the foil, like towing with the e-foil each other in waves. And I was filming, and then you guys said like, "All right, it's your turn." And I was like, "What do you mean it's my turn?" I mean, I never like even like consider I would like be ready for that. But here I was like being towed into a wave, and then that's the thing. It's not very technical, All it is like send it, like look back, and that's kind of like Chris, that like kid, that's like really good from like F1.
Yeah, and he
um
rips.
he gave some tips on like backflips, and basically the one thing he said is, I just look back. I look, like that's all it is. I bend back and the rotation happens. Now, for the most of us, when we do that and it doesn't work, is because actually inside our head there is this force that says don't do it. And so it's that battle between I want to go back and I want to send it. And then inside your head, in a part of your brain, it says like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't do that. And that is when your rotation doesn't happen and you stop halfway and you fall on your head.
Another question came in, Garrett. Do you see wings going towards hybrid, rigid, inflatable structure in the future? Rigid. Anything's possible. I would say the reason why this sport's super unique right now is it's very easy. You just pump it up, you go out, anybody can try it. I think that's what's super appealing, and that's why it's really exploding. I think once you make it rigid, for sure, you'll get probably more performance out of it. Question is, how does that work? Is it how much gear are you bringing to the beach? It's more kind of going back to like windsurfing. So I'm not really sure. I would say I'm sure we're going to see tons of improvements. I mean, this is such a new thing. And then in Pennsylvania, somebody's learning how to wing ski on a frozen lake. Man, we say it 100 million times. This is such a great way to learn how to wing right now. If you're sitting in the snow listening to this, or you're just in the snow anywhere, man, get yourself a wing, get a pair of skis or a snowboard and go, or ice skates, and go out and just play with it. Because if you want to learn how to wing foil in the water, that's the greatest way, in my opinion, to learn how to get the feel of the wing with just a little bit of wind, whether it's on ice skates or skis, or a skateboard, because you're not sinking. Water makes it more challenging because you're sinking, and that's why we talk about the big boards. But totally think that's awesome, and we wish you all the luck in Pennsylvania there. You want to answer, Garrett, another one? How much input do you guys provide in terms of gear advancements to Cabrini and Lift? 100%. We're always trying to help in any way possible. We do it because we love it, and I would say what the consumer doesn't know is things take time when you change or you adjust things in manufacturing. Whether Lift just launched a 90 high aspect, incredibly performance wing that's just mind blowing, but it's not that easy to just make these things pop out and have hundreds and hundreds produced, especially with supply chain issues worldwide. But I would say, just truthful, both companies are always out to put out the best product for the consumer. And as far as Gwen and I, we're just as open as we are with you guys to them, and any input we can give back is always appreciative to them. And really, we just want to better the sport for people, make it easier, and obviously see it progress in ways that maybe nobody even knew. So
Yeah,
that would
and
be my
and
answer to that.
we would love, drop your comment and let us know like if there is, like a specific like thing that you want companies to start making. Like, I want more of a board like this. I want more of like a wing like that.
Custom Gwen tape.
Yeah. So anything you like, share it with us in a comment.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I feel like I really like, I want a bird that's maybe around like 45 liters, maybe 50 liters, but that has like quite some volume in the front. I think it's pretty important for like wing foiling, especially when you sink the bird, that you have quite some volume on the front, and when you land, after jumping, so that the board comes out pretty easily. So yeah, I mean, we do provide feedback always, because we love it.
And your
Now,
guys' feedback, truthfully.
yeah, yeah, for
There's
sure.
no
Like,
question. We see the same things come in all the time, those questions, and obviously you can relay that across going, hey, you know, not everybody's doing this. This is kind of the talk. So um,
yeah, we are like, if you are like around, Jupiter, Florida, where we are, when we go to the beach, we talk to everybody, and we definitely like provide the feedback we get from the beach, from all of you guys, and so that everybody gets what they want. I mean, that's the goal. um Everybody has fun on the water.
Travis, your instructional videos definitely gave me the motivation and foundation to do it. Thank you. Side note, Melbourne, or if you're referring to Fort Pierce, Little Maui for awesome conditions. Yeah, Travis, look, there's so many people out there getting into the sport, and we're just lucky that we got into it as well. And we say this a million times, but this is the dead honest truth with everybody out there listening in and supporting us. You guys are just as impactful as us. And the more comments and more people we can help and share what you've learned, this is just helping the sport grow. Dead honest truth. Like that is, we go to the beach, we'll give you any advice we can because that's what we've learned. Everybody wants to share what not to do, I think, because that's like, a nice thing in life. I mean, I'm definitely not going around saying, hey, I would rig a 2 meter and go struggle for the rest of the day. Like I don't think anybody wants to do that. So I don't know. But I'm just saying you guys are making impact too. So yes, we're trying to do our part with obviously Gwen's new amazing onboard, crystal clear audio, new format. I would say his camera person, me out there, sometimes doesn't quite present it as well as it should be, but sometimes I'm out there getting scared talking and I don't even know what I'm saying, so I apologize out there.
No, I mean, it's, yeah, we have had like with our new like onboard video series, we have had great feedback. And so we are also like having fun like filming it. For us, it's like it's awesome to be able to like go on the water and walk you guys through like how to do something. Now, like some of the challenges, it's a new video series, so we are new to it, and so it is like pretty challenging to actually like
Yeah,
keep keep
present it.
yeah, like explain it in a way that makes sense while you are doing it. Also, I mean,
You're
because you
so
go you
pumped.
yeah, and you go into it like over and over, and it's like it's hard to like not like ramble and say things over and over. And so, but it seems like you guys are like liking it, so we are gonna keep doing it, and for sure, we're gonna get better at it. So
And one of the
um
biggest questions, Gwen, that comes up, which we need to relay across to everybody, is what mic are we using for these onboard video
yeah,
series? And
so
the
it's
mic
it's
is
it's it's
a
a great mic. You cut out. No, I'm
really?
gonna say it. The mic is,
I don't
so
know. I
it's a
don't know
great
why it's
mic.
cutting out.
It's
It's
a
a
great
good
mic.
mic. It works. And then we just add in with all the other cameras. And
Hopefully that's helpful for you guys.
oh, I love it. Another really important question that has come up, I believe that is always that back and forth is, the deals on foils. Look, there's a lot of foils out there, guys. Yes, every foil will work. It'll get you up on foil, but there are foils that will make your wing foiling easier. And I would totally just recommend to you to make sure to reach out to your local shop and just get the proper information. I think it's really important because there is older stuff that's not so good.
Lemon Yellow lives in San Francisco Bay Area, and I want to go somewhere nice and warm and practice foiling. Should I go to Fort Myers or stalk you guys in Jupiter? So let's see. I mean,
Well, the
from s-
stocking part, but no, I'm just kidding. Both places are great. I would say there's probably more wind over on the East Coast. Not saying there's not wind on the West Coast. Fort Myers, The only place you could go would be Sanibel or Tampa that could have all wind conditions. So just keep that in mind. Fort Myers will only have one direction of wind that you can use out of the west. But I would say Sanibel Causeway will give you all four directions: north, south, east, west. So just keep that in mind. We, of course, would love to have you here.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are in San Francisco, I feel like it's almost of a shorter flight to go to Hawaii, and so that would definitely be more consistent wind than Florida. I mean, Florida is great. We love it. We are here, but it's not always consistent for like, so for somebody that's coming to visit, it's kind of a gamble. Are you going to get wind? Are you not? It's hard to like nail it and get great conditions because it's not every day.
Another one that we just want to give a shout out, everybody. These are some amazing sunglasses, right? Whatever, they're just sunglasses. Tajima Direct, no joke. We're working with these guys, and which I didn't know. Gwen didn't know this, and I'm sure you guys didn't know this, but they literally just send you lenses for any type of sunglass prescription, not out of California. And it's absolutely awesome. It makes a less impact on our world. One, because I don't know how many sunglasses I've gone through where you scratch the lenses, you just throw away the glasses, you get new lens, or you get new sunglasses. And you can literally they'll just deliver it to your door. It's just the lens. They make the lens for you. Dude, totally recommend it. I'm just saying it. Wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, the days of like getting your lenses scratched up, but then the frame is perfect, but you still have to buy new sunglasses. That day is over, and now you can go straight to Tajima Direct and get replacement lenses.
They're
We love
awesome.
it, and so we are partnering with them. So in the next video dropping is Monday. You will see there is some sort of like an ad that we made, and it's an ad, but it's real. Like we truly like believe in it, and that's why we are doing it.
They're
And
awesome. Quality is sharper than you could ever imagine. And truth,
it's yeah, it's
amazing.
totally in alignment with what we believe. We want to be, we don't want to waste resources. We want to be uh do the best we can, and so that is so perfect because yeah, how many times do you throw sunglasses where the frame is perfect and you buy new sunglasses? You don't have to. So go check them out. We actually, Damien, show us your like banner skills.
My banner
I, I
skills.
put
Yeah,
I
I'll
put
work on that one. It's gonna take about an hour. My banner skills. Phil, how much do you think Wake Thief style dock starter helps with pump foiling? I've never used it. I'm sure it helps. Any way to just have a board to run and jump on and do it. I think the evolution of what people are doing is mind blowing. So I think just getting out on the water is kind of the most important thing for everybody, and it's mentally sanity. It's kind of like yoga or getting out and doing something. So we got to jump into our Patreon, but we always want to leave on a good note. Thank you guys so much for all these questions. Obviously, we got to do this more often because they just keep coming. But I just want to leave on this note. Look, it's a Thursday. There's a lot going on in our world right now. There's no question about that. And I just want to say, look, let's all live in the moment. Let's really try to live in the moment. There's just, you can always get caught in so much negativity every day. And I'm just as guilty as anybody out there, 100%. And I'm sure my wife could chime in right now if she was right here. But sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and realize and look at life and look at what you have and what you're grateful for and your surroundings. And yes, things may be tough, but they could probably be a lot tougher. And I think just make sure you really live in that moment right now. I think it's a very important one.
Yeah, for sure. It's always easy to look at the bad in the world or look at the good in the world, and then like be impacted by that. But really, like, you need to like make sure that you also like focus on yourself and stay present, and be grateful for the things you have. You're gonna see people that have more, and maybe that like that makes you want more, but then also you might see like some people that have less, and so just focus on yourself, be grateful for what you have, and by being present, like it is going to help you know exactly what what you want, who you are, and in the end, that's all gonna lead to being happier with yourself, and not always like comparing yourself to somebody else. So yeah, that's the message for the day.
That's it. So on this note, we're gonna jump over to our Patreon, our private patrons. We're gonna chat with them. You can support us for as little as $5 a month. Link in the description. We just do this to help people. And one last little question, Jeremy just popped in there. Do you see surf wing, low mid aspect wings transitioning to all high aspect wings for foil surfing? What I see happening, this is just my opinion. I see, yes, everything going high aspect, because with an not necessarily everything going high aspect, but everything right now with high aspect, you actually can pull that high aspect of what everybody thinks long. You can pull the length in, and they're getting actually smaller and smaller and smaller to where they perform just as good as a low or a mid aspect wing as far as turning, because that's the issue with high aspect is can they turn as well. I would say definitely take a look at the new 90 from Lift Foils, or even the call it the 800 from Cabrina. They're pulling this in, and they're making this low mid perform incredibly well. But remember, the low and mid are very stable, very easy for people. Not saying high aspects aren't. I'm just saying, answer your question. I believe things will be going more high. Period. So
Yeah, I mean, the days of thinking that the high aspect foil doesn't turn as well, to me, is over. When I see
over.
Kiahi on the high aspect foil, like
Yeah.
carving harder than anybody, I'm like, there is no limitation of how hard you can turn on high aspect foil. It's really your skills that's the limiting factor more than the foil. So yeah, high aspect foil, so much fun. And I don't really see myself going back to low aspect foils, other than when I kite foil and I do inverted front rolls and I cut my lines because the foil sticks too far out.
And Lemon Yellow, look, we really appreciate you. There's a lot of people, look, depression hits a lot of people. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying it's been in my life 100%. I'm totally open to talk about it. It is not easy, and everybody has a way to get out of it. And I would say make sure to find your way, and remember, whatever way works for you or whatever way may help a tiny bit, just always remember that when you get into those moods, that sometimes it's just a change of scenery, whatever it is, go for a walk, just get away from that scenario so you don't go deeper into it. But in my opinion, it's a hard thing, and I think everybody has it out there. Maybe they don't, but there's always a source of it somewhere. I think that people struggle with. So everybody out there, remember, you can always reach out to somebody you love or somebody close to you or anybody and just say, hey, I need help. Because sometimes the hardest thing to do is just reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling. And that's the hardest thing to do, and I'm willing to do it. So those are the things that can help you in life. So there's
Yeah,
always
and
somebody willing to help.
be nice to yourself. Don't judge yourself too hard. Try to be aware of like what you are telling yourself in your head, and would this even be something you would tell to somebody else? So don't talk to yourself like, I mean, you don't deserve to be talked like maybe you are. So check in and make sure that you are nice to yourself.
And everybody out there has something special that they can give to this world. I mean that 100%. You don't have to be a superstar or The Rock or anybody or an athlete. You don't have to be anything. You can be you, and you have a lot to give, and you got to believe that, and you will do that. So on that note, we're going to jump over to our patrons. So thank you guys so much. We absolutely love you. We're going to do more of this. Obviously, there's more questions that we could even get to. We thank you guys so much for the support, and we're jumping over. Thank you.
See you guys.